Boom, 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 boom. You in my room. First thing up, I got tears.
All right. Yeah. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
dude.
I never have great
I'm here
intros.
I'm bringing the good intro.
Okay. Well, hello everybody. It's a live recording of JDUB and Friends with a couple of my friends here. We got Bill the Fajita and JoshJepson, but you knew that already.
Oh, yo, what's up?
How are you guys doing tonight?
Ooh, it's been a vibe today. I napped.
Oh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
naps are
It was
always
needed.
nice. These two guys I've watched for years, even though we're all about the same age. But watched Josh and Bill both on YouTube for ever and ever and ever. So it's kind of cool to have them both on the same podcast episode, talking about one of their favorite series. Actually, before we get into the series, I do some interview questions, but we're changing up because I've been watching Bill the Fajita's podcast lately, and
Okay.
and
10 out
I
of 10.
exactly, yes, sir, very good. But I actually was thinking, I'm like, all right, what's a good way to start this instead of just going right into the questions and kind of going right into the podcast? So I was like, you know what? We got some news that came out this week, so we're gonna do some news stuff like Bill does. So
There's news?
there is news. So there's
Oh,
two big games come out this week. Actually come out Friday the 2nd. Persona 3 Reload is coming out for the PS5, PS4, I think like most consoles. And then I think the game a lot of people are looking forward to that play Batman, the Suicide Squad's coming out Friday.
oh, dope. Dope.
Yeah, so kind of excited about that. Other news in the gaming situation right now. Did you guys hear about Deus Ex? The new game was supposed to be coming out, but they canceled it now and actually laid off 97 people.
That's been happening a lot, man.
Hmm.
So many layoffs. It's great. Like every week you hear a new.
Yeah.
It's scary out. The stat from like last week that I saw on Twitter was like 3,500 people since the beginning of the year were laid off gaming industry. That's insane.
Hmm. Yeah.
They just like hands on.
Probably.
Well, I think the biggest problem that the gaming industry is having right now is that everything costs so much money,
Hmm.
and the corporate thing to do when too much money is being spent is cut people instead of cutting down their budgets or
Yep.
increasing their time constraints or whatever they need. Although that would cost more money in the end anyway. But yeah, the first thing they do is cut people instead of figuring out a smart way to go about it.
Yeah.
Oh, rest in peace.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, yeah, I was kind of because I played most of the Deus Ex games. I ain't played the one on the PS2 that started the whole thing, but I played like, the last couple, but I was like, man, that's sucks for that many people that
yeah,
it's like some companies are, having to lay off or close and then other companies are doing so well even though they don't really produce quality like they used to, so it's odd.
and yeah. You have President double digit
Hmm. Right. Yep.
ridiculous, ridiculous. Very.
Yeah, I heard this is rumor. I don't think it's for sure yet, but Xbox is talking about getting rid of all physical games coming forward, possibly, and just going plain digital to save money. I was like, that's crazy. I'm like, they've been selling their Xbox under, price for years anyway, so guess we'll see if it
Yeah,
works out.
they have a.
Yeah, yep.
They do. I mean, like I think the place
Hmm.
are kind of a transition.
Hmm.
It's interesting because like have like the aspect have like like so many.
Hmm. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I think we've all kind of been predicting the rise of digital,
Mhm.
and these companies stopping physical copies outright, which I think I mean I like digital. I play a lot of digital games. I download a lot of digital games, but there are certain games that I will buy physical because it's something that
Mhm.
that desire is still for physical, and I think a lot of people that's sure having it as an it might actually become like fan service. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like even like in
Yeah,
yeah, right.
the one thing I'm worried about with going digital is like some games now have been pulled off people's, either PC or like Steam, for example. You just buy the property, and then once it's not able to be used anymore, they're like, "Oh, we're pulling away from you now." That's kind of what I'm worried about with digital games going forward. It's like, am I still gonna be able to play it? What happens if they lose, this or this, and then guess we'll find out. But yeah, I think.
Yeah, right. I hope that Nintendo champions the physical game market in the next generation.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm hoping. I'm sure they will. If they don't, then
Uh,
dude, I'm down.
yeah.
I'm wearing pirate garb also.
Yeah.
Different pirate garb. But I mean, I got the hat. I got the Pirate Emporium shirt on from Pirate's a pirate. A pirate's a pirate. We're all pirates.
Yep. The other thing that I don't know if you guys saw this or not. Uh, are you guys big amusement park fans?
Yeah, not a roller coaster. I
S-
like eating a food at a amusement park.
Okay.
Alley.
So, Universal announced today that they're opening a brand new park. Actually, five of them, five new parks.
Oh, wow.
Um, let me see. I should have wrote them down in my notes. I'm a.
I did hear that Nintendo Land World was opening up
Yep.
in what, Florida, I guess, right?
Yep. Orlando.
Oh, are
Yep.
they gonna in 2025?
Yep.
Yeah. I don't
So
know what the other. I didn't hear about these other ones,
yeah. So there's
but I
gonna be.
heard they're also working on like a donkey.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep. That's gonna be at, I think, Japan first, and then coming to Orlando after that, which is kind of cool. Yeah.
Rest of it.
So, it's gonna be called Epic Universe, which is, I guess, kind of a cool name. The new um areas, it's gonna be completely separate from Universal Studios Islands Adventure, and completely separate from Universal Studios just plain. So they're gonna have
Okay.
Celestial Park, which I guess is just kind of like the main area, main hub, and that's gonna have a little sunrise in it. After that, there's going to be a new Wizarding World of Harry Potter land. So
Oh,
it's gonna be a
okay.
third Harry Potter land, which will come, like they said, 2025. There's gonna be a How to Train Your Dragon land with Isle of Berk. Also,
Are these gonna be just in California?
these are just in Florida right now, just Orlando.
Oh, okay. So these set of parks that are next to like in the same.
Yep. Yep. It's yeah.
Okay.
They're kind of trying to compete with Disney World because Disney World has their five parks, so now they're gonna have seven parks plus two water parks. No.
Where, you know, I don't know.
All right.
Yeah, right. That
No.
would have been kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So these are gonna be like by next to them, but this is where Super Nintendo World's gonna be. It's gonna be in this new set of parks, or new set of yep. Yep. So it's gonna be there, and then Dark Universe is gonna have like your darker Universal properties. I forget all the ones they said for it, but
Just that.
right. Yeah, they got but yeah, it just came out. They don't have very much information yet on it. They're just kind of going through and kind of saying, "Hey, this is new things." Like I guess a lot of the Universal Studios, the dark area of it's going to be mostly for the Halloween stuff and everything like that. So we'll see. Yeah. The new Harry Potter land will blend 1920s Paris from Fantastic Beasts with the Potterverse Ministry of Magic.
Okay.
So
That's neat.
yeah. And then Super Nintendo World's gonna be the exact same as Japan. They say it's gonna be coming through the green pipe just like you would in Japan. Yeah, classic monsters will be in Dark Universe, like I said, and Celestial Park will have a bunch of restaurants too. It looks like so. There's a lot coming up that Universal's gonna do, and it's gonna affect Disney World a lot because Disney World's expensive, but so is Universal. So we'll see what happens.
All these people.
Oh. Yeah, the
Like,
only
for a
Yeah.
family of 4, like looking at like
oh, it's been a while since I've done this, so it's been at least 2 months.
Yeah, sometimes when you go away from the thing and you come back, you're like, man, I didn't change a thing and everything is broken.
Yeah, yeah, it's
That happens all the time.
I love when OBS is. Oh, by the way, your microphone is.
Dude, what is that with OBS where it resets your audio settings like
Don't know. It's
all
so
the time?
confusing all the time, and it's like I didn't touch anything.
right.
I just less than 7 days ago.
See if the guy responds. All right, at least what I'm being told.
All right. Anyway, Rayman we got the most underrated. That's the one that came to mind.
Oh shoot, great.
Make another Rayman. Do it.
That'd be
Or else.
yeah. They should make another Donkey Kong for that matter too, because they haven't made a 3D Donkey Kong in years either.
Thank you.
I feel like that's common.
Has to
I
be.
feel like that's
It's
common.
gotta be. It's gotta be. I mean, we they tided us over with Ukulele and Impossible Lair, which is basically just another Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah,
But it's been like 5 years since that game dropped almost. So
true. Yeah, it's very. Yeah, it's. Now I'm trying. I'm like, what in the world? What other series haven't? I'm just popping my head like, all right, what other series don't have 2D and 3D now? Let's see. All right. Got a loud motorcycle going behind me. I don't know if anybody picked that up. Everything else picked up, but now a motorcycle will be cool.
I like, too heavy.
Oh shoot. All right. Well, since I looking at my questions, I forgot to write another one for Bill. I'm just gonna come up with it on the spot.
Yeah.
If you could be the head of a company, any video game company, which one would it be, and what would be your first thing you would do with that company?
Who are we asking?
You.
Me?
Bill, yeah.
Okay. All right.
I
if
said
I
it
could
come
be
up
the
with one.
head of any company in the world.
Yeah.
What company? All right. Here we go. Does it have to be a video game company?
Nope. It'd just be anybody.
Okay. Cool. Then I am gonna become the owner of Apple,
Ooh.
and then use that money to actually do good in the world.
You mean lay off everyone?
Yes. I'm gonna lay off everybody.
Be a good CEO.
Lay off everyone, and then cash in a $1.8 trillion bonus,
No. Bill would be a good. Bill would
And
be
then-
a good egg.
and then fly Earth to the moon or something. Get real stupid with it.
Real stupid with it. All right.
And I'd also invent cloning for Chalupa.
There you go.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You actually have competition with that. I seen a cat that looks exactly like Chalupa the other day, but she's wearing a bunch of other stuff on it. The cat. And I was like, oh, I was gonna send it to you and I forgot. All right, Josh. What is your least favorite console of all time?
Least favorite console?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Oh. Does it have to be one I've played before?
No.
Say one that I've never played before.
It's a Sega
Well, 'cause, like,
Jaguar.
Because like it's hard to know because I wasn't a Sega kid,
Mhm.
right? Like so I didn't play the Genesis, any of that. Man, least favorite console. I'm gonna pick one that I have played.
Okay.
I know.
I hesitate to say the PSP, but I'm gonna say the
Ooh.
PSP.
Okay.
What did you think I was gonna say?
I actually thought you were gonna go PS.
Mm.
That's a lot.
Oh man, dude. Okay, wait. That's actually a better answer. Here's the thing: the PSP had like not the games that I was looking,
Mhm.
but the PS3 was impossible to capture.
Mhm.
And
Wasn't it such a pain in the ass back in the day?
yeah, as a content person, like that was a huge downside. But it had games though.
Yeah.
It had like the good Ratchet and Clank games,
Mhm.
Uncharted.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's true.
The PSP is what the PS Vita, or the PS Vita is what the PSP should have been. That's what I was
Yeah,
trying to
and
say.
then PS Vita flopped because again, they
Yeah.
did not have the games.
No.
They didn't
I
bring the
honestly
games.
forgot the Vita existed.
Yep.
Like I was really into the idea of the Vita and almost bought one, but then there was nothing I wanted to play.
Mhm.
And it was all these like, side stories of all the games that were on the main consoles, but like kind of dumbed down a little bit. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's not the way to approach it, I don't think.
Yeah.
There was a handful of good ones, like
Yeah. I think the only Vita game that was like original was probably Persona 4 Golden.
yeah.
Right. I feel like those PlayStation handhelds were like amazing
Mhm.
for like diehard RPG fans.
Yeah.
I feel like they had just have like a billion RPGs that people just love. But if that's not your like vibe, then it just wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was not. I did not grow up an RPG guy. So although I am in my RPG era now.
Oh, we love to see it.
I'm discovering all of the RPGs I missed throughout my life.
Yeah, there's a lot of RPGs I missed because I have a Dream or a Genesis or a Saturn. So, oops. Still trying to get those, but it's 2024. I'm gonna buy old consoles, so we'll see what happens.
You just play Sonic R.
Yeah,
Fine.
There you go.
let's play
What's the
Sonic
last
06.
RPG that you guys have each embarked on?
Like completed.
Even just started.
He's like, I've been playing through Mario RPG for the first time.
Ooh,
Oh, nice. Are you enjoying it?
I'm enjoying it a lot. It is like it is like baby's first RPG kind of.
For sure.
But it's very quirky, and the battle system is fun. The last one that I completed was Earthbound, also
Nice.
for the first time.
Same.
So good.
It's
so
such
good.
a bizarre game.
It's
Yeah,
fun.
right.
Yeah, I was. Let's see. I think the last one I'm trying to think. I'm like, all right, PS5, because I only got 3 consoles with me right now. I probably, yeah, I think I Legend Dragoon on the PS5 because it came on the PS5 for the
Oh,
first.
sick.
Yeah, so I was like, well, I'm gonna play it through it like
That's dope.
the 11th time in a row. So,
Heard that's good.
oh,
I know
it's
some people who like Legend of Dragoon a lot.
it's so good if you get a chance. It's like it came out round when 8 came out, Final Fantasy 8, and it kind of got overshadowed by 8 because 8. But
Yeah.
the edition system is kind of like, I would say, kind of like I don't even know how to explain it. Did you guys play Legend of Gaia at all? Were you built? Okay. So,
I was a Nintendo baby growing
oh
up,
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah. Legend of Dragoon, and
Same.
basically just instead of hitting X and doing the attack, you're basically timing your hits, which is kind of different.
Okay.
So it's kind of like Mother 3. There, that's what it is.
Oh yeah.
cool.
It's like to the
Cool.
beat, but you only have there's 1 hit, and then you get up to 7 hits, and then you can kind of pretty
Sick.
gnarly. Yeah.
That's cool.
I already probably know the answer to this, but Bill, what is your favorite console of all time?
Favorite console of all time. I feel like if you asked me this question like 5 years ago, I'd have a very different answer.
Mhm.
But I think the Switch might just be my favorite.
Oh,
Like, there's just so much on it, and it's just like the library for the Switch might be the most insane video game that exists. Like, as far as home console. So I think for that, and like its portability too, like taking that puppy on an airplane, it's great. Like I don't think I can say anything but the Switch right now.
it makes sense. I understand that. Yeah.
Totally a fair answer.
Mhm. I always had to go to the PS2, but that's just because it's PS2 and it was Jack and Dexter, Ratchet and Clank, Sly Cooper.
So many good games.
Oh,
I do miss the PS2 days.
it's just
Like I was a Nintendo kid, but I was all about the PS2 for a
Yeah.
while there.
it's a perfect console. And
It's great.
DVDs were able to play on that console for the first time, and that blew everybody's
It was
mind.
it was my first experience with Guitar Hero, and that I
Mhm.
had an era about Guitar Hero for like a nice half decade.
Man, that was a game that kind of fell apart all of a sudden. Just kind of was like Guitar Hero 3 hit, and then all of a sudden just went downhill after that. But
Yeah.
let's see. Uh, Bill, I guess I'll ask you another question. What is your opinion? The best game of all time?
Wait, just like the best video game of all time?
Yeah,
or
in
my
your
favorite video game.
your opinion, the best video game of all time.
The best video game of all time? That's an insane question.
These
Because video games are so different. Obviously, the best video game of all time is Tetris. But
No.
no. Let me approach it from like an accessibility standpoint. What's like one of the most accessible games that like the most number of people can enjoy? And I feel like, and this is not a game that like I particularly love or have much experience with, but I, hear nothing but great things about the things you can do with like Minecraft.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, just like its ability to bring people together, the worlds that you can create, the things that you can. It really is just so impressive, and it's such a low barrier to entry for the game, and so many people can do so many different. So I think I might go with Minecraft, just for
Yeah.
that alone.
It's a very good objective answer. Like I kind of agree to some extent because I was when you first started talking about that, I was like, yeah, he's gonna say Minecraft because like there's something that it's just very diverse. You can do a lot with it. There's a lot of mods. It's been around forever. It's it's like an evergreen kind of game that is constantly evolving. So yeah, I kind of agree.
Yeah, there's
that's like again, like that's not even a game that I play really.
Right.
yeah.
Right. Game respect game right here.
Yeah, they can. I mean, you can even mod the Minecraft games now. Where I've seen they had a Pokemon one, and then which is kind of
Isn't
cool.
that what Pal World is? Isn't it just a Minecraft mod?
We don't talk about Pal World here.
So this is a question, Josh, that I've been asking a lot of people. I think I asked Bill once, and I've asked a lot of other people. But when we were growing up, we had this thing called Blockbuster. We had this thing called Hollywood Video. Game Crazy was attached to Hollywood Video, if I remember right. But what was a game that you regret either buying or renting when you were a kid?
Ooh, oh man, that's a good question. Okay, so my hometown had a movie gallery. I don't know.
Oh
Movie
yeah.
gallery. They were in some places.
Yep.
They were not as popular as like Blockbuster or Hollywood Video or any of that. So we would go to movie gallery like once a week, and I would rent a game. And usually I would get something like that looked really good. Like I rented Wind Waker, and then I proceeded to rent that like 3 more times in a row. And by that point, it's like, oh, this is just the cost of the game. We should have just bought it, and then we bought it. But there were a few times when I would just like pick out something based on the box art that I was like kind of interested in, like never really heard of it. The game that disappointed me the most, and it's like a quirky game, and it's kind of whatever. And like I've not played it since this time that I rented it, but the game that sticks out in my mind is, what's it called? It's the Mosquito one.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yep, Mr. Mosquito.
Mr. Mosquito. Mr. Mosquito.
Yep.
Thank you. Yes.
Never even heard.
So you play as a mosquito guy that like flies around in this big like family house, and your whole goal is to like suck blood out of the people there, and they can like fight back at you, and if they see you or whatever, you have to like fly around until they're in a position where you can go and hit their weak spot where you suck the blood out.
Yep.
Okay.
And then like while you're sucking the blood, like they can go and like bat at you if they catch you or whatever. Anyway, it just like controlled really bad, and like the gameplay loop was just not that fun for me. And So I didn't really see much outside of like the first 15 minutes of that game, which was flying around a room with this like teenage girl trying to like nap or something, and you're just like flying around trying to suck blood.
Yeah.
It was a really weird game.
Bizarre. I'm looking at screenshots, and this is a chaos.
It's really weird.
It's so bizarre.
I rented that once. I was not happy with it.
Yeah, I love that whole conversation. I'm listening to you, and all of a sudden I just see Bill going,
I'm looking at this, and I'm like, this looks like one of those games that only came out in Japan
Mhm.
kind of titles,
Yeah.
but it's not apparent. Okay.
All right, these next two questions are going to go hand in hand. So they're basically kind of the same question for both of y'all, but in a different way. So have either of you cosplayed before?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I wanted to
Okay.
a few times, but I never like pulled the trigger on making a costume or buying a costume.
Okay.
Excuse me.
So let's say that you were to make a costume, Josh, from Banjo Kazooie or Banjo Tooie or Banjo Nuts and Bolts, which is sadly the worst of the three. But if you were to be a character from Banjo and Kazooie that's not Banjo or Kazooie, who would you cosplay as?
A Jinjo.
I have an
Mm.
answer for this.
100%. I would be like a cute little like Jinjo, and I would go around and Jinjo.
Mary.
Oh no.
I
Oh, I can't be
Canary.
anymore. Please.
Go.
Canary Gary.
I'd be Canary Gary.
Great.
Yeah,
Good.
that's
Over here,
funny.
like, I want to be cute. Bill's like, I want to be hated.
Wretched soul.
Oh shoot.
Spit out weird paper to people.
Yep. Yeah.
Where's that paper bin?
So ironically, I was actually question I had for you, Bill. You're gonna love this because this is kind of making you choose. If you and Josh got to play Banjo Kazooie as a cosplay, and one of you had to be in the backpack in the back to be Kazooie, and one had to be Banjo, who would be Banjo and who would be Kazooie?
Man,
Oh,
I mean, this could go either way.
Bill, you work out?
honestly. Not really. Shoot. Yeah. So I mean, the we got options here. We can like alternate, obviously.
Bill, how much you weigh?
Listen, I'm sitting at like a clean 220 right now. So this is what I'm thinking. You know, one of us can be Banjo, one of us can be Kazooie. It doesn't matter because we'll set up the backpack. So, if one of us gets tired as Banjo, the other one as Kazooie can Talon Trot. So we'd be able to make a simpatico sort of
There you go.
transition of power here.
Okay, I like
It'd be doable. It'd be doable. Plus, we could just use split up pack.
There you go.
True. I'll be Kazooie. I'll take the bullet.
I'll take the bullet. So we're gonna get into my in the segment. Before I do that, last question for both of y'all is Bill, what's the most underrated world in Banjo, the Banjo series?
The most underrated world in Banjo. So full, honesty here, I've never played more than like the first hour and change of Nuts and Bolts. So I can't really claim that game. I probably like now that I've like beaten Tears of the Kingdom, which is just Nuts and Bolts 2, I probably should go back and play Nuts and Bolts.
Nuts and Bolt is better in the year of our Lord 2024 than it was whenever, in my opinion.
Okay.
For some very specific reasons.
Like I own the game because like it is a Banjo game, but I just haven't played it much. But I should go back and revisit it. But in the first two games, we'll say the most underrated world, it's tough to say like what would be underrated because like there's a lot of like really good levels. But a level that I really enjoy whenever I play it, and it's like a quick breeze through, but it's always fun to me, is Clanker's Cavern.
That's what I would have said.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a quick vibe, like and it's like a not bad water.
Yeah.
And like the other thing about Clanker's Cavern is I feel like it's one of the more unique water levels in games. Like it doesn't take that like calm, whatever,
Mhm.
like hidden grotto or not grotto, like a lagoon sort of feel. Like Banjo Tooie has the lagoon, and like the Mario 64 has the lagoon, and it's just like these little chill zones with
Yep.
like the fancy music. This is like a kind of
Trash dungeon.
spooky, yeah, like a trash pool.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's great.
it's a trash tank.
Trash tank.
You're right though. It's a super unique area, and then
Mhm.
being inside Clanker, you see like all like the viscera of Clanker
Mhm.
on the wall and stuff. Like it's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Yep. So we'll go opposite direction for you, Josh. What's the most overrated world in Banjo series?
Ooh, overrated. So this depends on the version of Banjo that you're playing. If you're playing it on the Xbox 360,
Mhm.
there's nothing wrong with this particular level. But if you're playing it on the N64, Hailfire Peaks is overrated. Fire Peaks is so overrated. And the thing is, it's not a bad level. They're all good levels, but like it it runs so rough
Mhm.
on the N64. It's like excruciating to play on the N64. So yeah, which is too bad because I do like that level and it's got some neat concepts, but it's just very. And the other thing is too is like it's just very complicated and there's a lot of very like little hidden areas and stuff that are just you get lost very easily in that level. Although I wouldn't say that that's why it's overrated. I think it's overrated because it was too big and did not run properly on before.
That's fair. I would have honestly said the exact same thing.
Mhm.
I was like, is he gonna say it? Is he gonna say it? Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad we're on the same page, Bill.
Yeah.
Listen, it's one of those levels where it's like the concept is like brilliant, right?
Mhm.
Like it's a slam dunk concept, but I just feel like they don't do enough on either side of the world where they almost kind of just feel emptier than they could be.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's a Banjo 2 problem in my opinion anyway, where it's like they're
Mhm.
they're not as tight the levels as
Yeah.
Yeah, and they split the boss into two halves. So like you get one Jiggy for basically fighting two bosses, two
Right.
slightly easier bosses.
Mhm.
I don't know. It would have been cool to fight them together. That'd be kind of neat.
ooh
Yeah.
Right?
combo.
Yeah, right.
I always wondered because of Banjo and Kazooie being, and Tooie kind of being split up. I'm like, is that going to hurt the gameplay? I mean, I get, what they're trying to do and everything like that. It's like, I kind of feel like it, in some ways, it hurt the gameplay because it was more, you know, when you have Banjo and Kazooie together, you could do a lot more. And when you split them up, it's like, oh, he does this and Banjo does this now.
It just takes a long time, I think, to get all of the
Mhm.
moves for each individual
Yeah.
character. Because like that's what you get for the rest of the game. After you learn how to split up, you're like getting each individual moves for
Mhm.
the rest of the game, all the way up to the final level.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I mean, I think by the time you get to the end there, they're both very capable characters, but
Mhm.
you're already at the end of the game at that point.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Yep. So, as you can tell, because I kind of threw the last couple questions in there, just because we're talking about Banjo series tonight. I was gonna do Banjo Kazooie. I was like, screw it. You know what? They both are big fans of all three games, and I actually haven't played much of Tooie like I should. I played a lot of Banjo Kazooie, and I played sadly more nuts and bolts than I probably should have instead of
I
Tooie.
like Nuts and Bolts, for the record.
Apparently, this is
Nuts and
like
Bolts apologist.
I need to go back and revisit this because maybe I'll have some deep shame.
It was ahead of its time, man. It was ahead of its time. It came out before all these like
Mhm.
user generated content games. It had you could make and share vehicles. You could hang out with your friends in a lobby and build vehicles together, show them off to each other. It was a good time, man. Challenges mostly sucked. Anyway,
I think I just hated it because it was different.
It
you know?
wasn't. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of people did.
And I was like, this isn't the Banjo Kazooie I remembered. But then
Yep.
Nintendo said, here's Mario Odyssey, the true prequel to
Yep.
Banjo. And
True.
Yep.
so
True.
yeah, I'll have to go back to Nuts and Bolts. All right, it's on the list. I'm doing it this year.
So, yeah. I
Make
actually,
a silly car, Bill.
yeah, I didn't actually play any of the. I didn't play Tooie or Nuts and Bolts until I got the rare replay. So I kind of, because I was like, I had so many of the rare games already on N64 and stuff like that, and then they said GoldenEye's coming. I was like, I don't have GoldenEye. I must add it because I need Rare Replay, and you get it for free. And I was like, must have GoldenEye, so end up getting it. But yeah,
Sick.
Banjo's been around since 1997, I believe. Because he first showed up, if you want to count it, I count it. But he showed up in the best racing game on the N64, which was
Oh, true. Yeah, he did.
Diddy Kong Racing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So good. So good.
Best racing game. A lot of actual
It's-
first. Yeah, best. A lot of characters appeared in that. I mean, you had Banjo, you had Conker, and Diddy, obviously. So, but and then TT, who's shown up randomly. And there's another game I can't think of the other game he was in, but he just showed up randomly. I was like, why is he here?
Huh. Do you know that Banjo has been in more racing games than he's been in platformers?
Yeah, because he got Banjo.
Diddy Kong Racing,
Yep.
Banjo Pilot.
Is he in the Sonic racing
He's in the
game?
Sonic and Sega All Stars Xbox 360.
How does
And
that
I
count?
count Nuts and Bolts.
Yeah.
Nuts and Bolts is like a half point.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
How?
And then the only real platformers are 1, 2, and
Yeah.
Run GBA game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grunty's Revenge.
Yep. Yeah.
So like about the same amount that he's been in.
So funny.
Yeah. I about to say I looked up. I was like, I'm gonna make sure I know all the games tonight. It was like there was 2 GBA games. So apparently there's
Banjo Pilot.
Yeah,
The other one.
Banjo
Oh.
Pilot and Grunty's Revenge, which I didn't play either of them, so I didn't even know they were a thing until I looked up, information on Wikipedia, who wanted my $2.50 for some odd reason tonight.
Oh,
You're like, hey, we need you to make a donation to keep us live. But no, thank you.
I got an analog pocket recently,
Oh,
and one of the games that I've been playing is Grunty's Revenge.
Okay. How do you like the analog pocket? I almost pulled the trigger on one around Christmas time, but
Last year I almost pulled the trigger on it twice
Yeah.
and ended up noping out like with it in my cart. I was like,
That's
do I
literally
want to
what I
spend
did.
$300 right now plus
Yeah.
tax and shipping,
Mm.
like almost $400? Not really. But then my girlfriend ended up getting me one for Christmas. So
Nice.
I lucked out. She's great. And so like, yeah, I like it a lot, but the price point was, but it's really great.
Do you
And, like, I've got,
emulate
like-
with it, or do you like the OG cards?
Both. I mean,
Okay.
I have a few carts that I use, but yeah, I'm doing a lot of emulation.
Oh,
The
sick.
problem
Okay.
that I have with the emulation on it though is right now, I think this is going to change, but right now they, the cores for the emulation don't have a real-time clock option currently, which is a problem for games like Pokemon.
Yeah.
Although I did find somebody made like a fan update that adds a real-time clock for at least Game Boy Color, but I think they're coming out with an official one at some point, but it's all like official quotes because like they don't advertise the fact that it's like made for emulation also, just to like they're trying to like skirt the line there, but
Yeah.
it's good.
So let's start with Banjo Kazooie tonight because you both have played, I think, Banjo Kazooie mostly more than Tooie and Nuts and Bolts, I'm guessing. Well, maybe not. But
definitely have.
now Banjo Kazooie came out in 1998, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I was like, I think I did my homework right, but I don't remember. But yeah, Banjo Kazooie, I remember being blown away by that because I'm gonna say something that might be a hot take for a lot of people. I thought it was better than Super Mario 64.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it holds up better too.
Yeah, some people are like, "Oh, it's Super Mario 64 is the greatest platformer of all time." It's like, no, I don't think so. But
I think Mario 64 has like a good movement feel to it in a way, like Mario a little bit more than Banjo and Kazooie, if that makes sense. But
Definitely.
beyond that, like Banjo looks better, sounds better, the characters are more interesting, the worlds are more interesting.
Yeah.
It's a more fleshed out experience.
Yeah. Which makes sense. I mean, it came later,
Yeah.
right? And Mario 64 was sort of like trying to figure out platforming in 3D.
It was a pioneer game for sure.
Now,
Yeah.
Banjo Kazooie's has Oh my goodness, now I'm drawing blank. 7 worlds, 8 worlds, 7,
The
8,
first Banjo Kazooie has 9 worlds.
9. Dang, I'm trying to do all of them in my head. I'm like, all right, Mumbles
I think
Mountain.
they each have 9, right?
Banjo Tooie has 8 worlds.
Or 8.
That's
You're
yeah,
right. It's only 90 jiggies second game.
just so
Yeah.
weird. Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't get very far in 2E, so that'll be all you guys talking about that one.
A little different than Nuts and Bolts, which has 141 jiggies.
Jeez.
It's a really weird. That's with the DLC.
Hmm.
A really weird thing. Or wait, no, the DLC doesn't add jiggies. It's like 131, I think.
Okay.
It's weird. It's a weird number.
Yeah.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, Kazooie. I remember getting that. Like one of my first games for my N64 was Kazooie and Super Mario 64, and then Top Gear Rally, which is actually a really great game.
Huh.
But
Oh, I've heard of the Top Gear games
yeah,
from back then.
Rally was really
not
good.
the N64 one, but yeah.
But yeah, Banjo Kazooie had so many great worlds in it. I've always don't know why. I think it's just the iconic thing, but I always love Mumbo's Mountain. There's something about that first level and just everything that they put into it. It's just always been one of my favorites. Treasure Trove Cove, I loved that one too, but
Sure.
I think those are my 2 favorites. But like, what got you both into playing Banjo Kazooie for the first time? Was it kind of just came with the console, or is it kind of just like you're like, I'm just gonna test it out. It looks fun. And
Did you want to go first, Bill?
Sure. I have a very basic answer. The first time I ever played Banjo Kazooie, December 25th, 98 probably. A little Billy boy opened up a copy of Banjo. Weirdly enough, like whenever I got a video game in that era, like it was almost always a rare game. So Christmas was always like rare morning. Like Banjo Kazooie, Banjo Tooie, and Donkey Kong 64 were all Christmas morning gifts on different Christmases. So very fond memories of growing up, especially on the holiday, playing the Banjo and Donkey Kong 64 games.
do you have a favorite world in Banjo Kazooie?
Favorite world in Kazooie? It's probably Click Clock Wood.
Okay.
That's a good answer.
It's probably Click Clock Wood, although Treasure Trove is right there.
Yeah. It's between those.
Excellent.
My story with Banjo is different.
Okay.
So it started off kind of similar to Bill, where it was like, December 25th, 1998. I open up an N64 and I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm so excited about this. And I open up Mario Kart 64. Hell yes. We love Mario Kart 64. It's all right. And then I proceeded to open up a bag with Super Nintendo games in it. I did not have a Super Nintendo. My aunt who bought the console bought the wrong games, didn't know what she was buying, and the Super Nintendo games were right there. So and they were probably cheaper because the N64 had just come out. And so I had one game to play. It was Mario Kart 64, and I was like, "Great, this is fine." I'm not going to be able to play these other games, so she returned them. And my parents felt bad for me because they wanted me to be able to have like a selection of games to play for this console. And so they took me to Best Buy, and I got to pick out 2 games. And my choices were Conker's Bad Fur Day, okay, and Glover.
Ooh.
And one of those 2 games I was not allowed to get for some unknown reason.
Bizarre that they wouldn't let you get Glover.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I was not allowed to get Conker's Bad Fur Day because my parents were smart enough to do the rating. Yeah, so I wasn't allowed to get Conker's Bad Fur Day. It was just too bad. So I picked out a different game with a 1 Baron Bird on the cover. And I thought it was really cute and amazing. And I got a Banjo Kazooie plushie that was in the thing. And like there was like a basket full of Banjo Kazooie plushies that my dog ate like 5 years later. So yeah, and the rest is history, man. I love that. I played the crap out of it for like the next what year was that? 1998. The next 25 years. I'm still playing it to this day. I'm doing a Banjo Kazooie randomizer tomorrow on my channel, actually.
Ooh. Yeah, this JoshJepson is on Twitch at JoshJepson also. So, and then BillTheFajita is on Twitch at BillTheFajita. So you can watch Josh tomorrow and then Bill next week, I believe. Again, you said.
Yeah. Love that you're doing the stream thing again, Bill. Back at it.
Finished up Golden Sun this afternoon. We're doing
Hell
great.
yeah, dude.
Yeah, Golden
By the
Sun's
way,
good.
the analog pocket's on its way.
Did you buy an analog pocket right here, right now, while we were talking? You're insane. Great though.
They sell out all the time, so it's like they're almost never available. So.
I know. I'm like surprised that you were able to get. What color did you get?
The options were black or white, so I went with black.
Okay, yeah, good choice.
Yeah, white will get dirty faster.
Exactly.
Yep.
So
Dude,
it'll be here in 3 business days.
Great. Have fun with it. I mean, you got like cards to play on it.
I have a bunch of Game Boy games, color and advance. So
Okay,
cool. I mean, you can just emulate stuff too.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. As long as you own them, it's legal. They say.
And I own every single game ever.
Wink, wink.
So true. Me too. 1 billion.
I do own Apple, after all.
True.
Oh shoot. So Banjo Kazooie had great story, I think, compared to. I mean, Super Mario 64 had a great story too, but I think Banjo Kazooie's story as a whole was impressive. What they were able to do, basically. Did you always? I'm gonna ask a question because I've heard it multiple ways. I've always called her Grunty. But I've heard a lot of people call her Gruntilda. Did you ever call her? Did you shorten her name, or did you call her Gruntilda? Or
Well, I mean, she goes by both, right? So,
Yeah.
like Gruntilda's her full name, and then some people call her Grunty.
Mhm.
I always call her Grunty.
Okay,
Yeah, just easier on the mouth.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
I thought too.
I always. It's like how I'm only friends with people with 1-syllable names. 'Cause it's easier to talk to them.
Makes sense.
Hi, Bill.
Hi,
Josh.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't.
Too many syllables.
3-syllable names. That's loser.
Yeah,
Gross.
it just shortens it to Babe. Done.
There you go.
Exactly.
So easy.
So
Patience.
easy.
But yeah, Banjo Kazooie's Gruntilda Grunty. I just messed her name bad before that, so I just kind of made it look like I didn't. But she is trying to get Banjo's sister, the looks from her to actually become sexy Gruntilda. Which I mean, back then I guess it wouldn't be Playboy, it'd probably be Bear Boy or something like that. But sorry, that was
Shout out to Steve Mails for designing sexy Grunty.
yeah.
Shout out to that one game over screen that affected so many.
We all felt something. And we were conflicted by the fact that she was like evil.
Maybe dying to get those notes in Rusty Bucket Bay.
You got rewarded, kind of.
Oh man, yeah, that definitely was a choice they made at that time. I have a question though. I just thought about this. Why was everything back when we were kids, like animated or anything like that, sexy? You gotta think. Yeah, Jessica Rabbit, Lola Bunny. You had sexy Gruntilda, and then you had the
Kong.
Yep, Candy, and then Conker's Bad Fur Day. The plants and stuff like that. They had the big bosom.
They're trying to sell all the horny teenagers on the game.
Apparently, just so weird.
And it works.
It sure did.
Yeah,
Damn.
it worked very well. Yeah, you guys know a little bit more about the story, but Banjo Kazooie, Gruntilda trying to get sexy. and she knows it.
Hey, you know what? Maybe she was sexy before.
Yeah.
All right, and she doesn't really actually need to change her outward.
Yeah, true.
She does need to shower though.
Yeah, definitely that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the gist of the story. That's
Yeah.
the whole story.
Yep.
Right.
It doesn't
Nailed it.
really.
Yeah.
Like there's not like an additional cutscene until the very end of the game.
Yeah.
It-
Besides the game over.
right. The first game doesn't. It's Grunty kidnapped your sister.
Mhm.
Gotta save her. Otherwise she'll become super sexy.
Yep.
And then your sister becomes a hideous troll monster.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just like the one in Harry Potter. Yep. Sorry, that's a reference from. I'm just old. That's my problem. I'm old, and references from the '90s.
Aren't we all?
Uh,
Where's Jeez? Hear you.
let's see. Now, Tui starts basically at the end of Kazooie. This is the one I have barely played anything. I've gotten to the Jinjo town at the very beginning where they show all the towns. That's as far as I've gotten. Like I just got to replay, so I'm kind of caught up.
You're
But
like halfway to the end of the game. Dude.
yeah, right.
How'd you give up?
So I don't know anything about Tui, so that'll be all you guys. But she dies at the end of Banjo Kazooie, or there's a rock dropped on her at the end of Banjo Kazooie. Technically, I guess dies, but she comes back in Tui. That's as far as I know in Tui. So, when you all want to take that away?
Technically, she doesn't die. She is
Right.
just trapped
Okay.
for 2 years. For 2 years, she's trapped under that rock, and then her sisters show up to
Mm.
like save her. With mad, why did it take them 2 years? Who knows?
Mm.
Grunty had enough magic to stay alive through this nonsense,
Mhm.
but not enough to get like just a boulder that was maybe double the size of her.
Yeah.
Off.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
With Klungo helping.
Yeah, and what was Fungo there for 2 years?
Yeah, and he was fine. He was eating just fine.
Oh, yeah.
'cause he didn't turn to bone.
Mm-mm.
They ate all those like bouncing carrots,
Vegetables.
cauliflower, the vegetables that attack you and spiral, and then they're
Oh man.
that's what he was eating the whole time. But
Spiral.
then like Grunty's sisters show up, they blow up the rock, they float it away and blow it up. And then Grunty comes out and she's all just bones. She's just like deteriorated underground for 2 years. She comes out and she's like, she's not like a zombie or anything. She's just like a bone
Yeah.
He's a skeleton
person.
He's a skeleton person.
Skeleton question mark?
Because she's alive despite not having any internal.
Mm.
Yeah.
That makes
So-
The,
sense.
the power of hatred.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. The one thing I do remember,
Yeah.
which was weird, is so in the first game she does she's doing she's rhyming stuff I guess the end of every word rhymes, and all of a sudden they make fun of that immediately in the start of the second game.
Yeah,
Like, why are you rhyming?
Yeah, her
sisters dog on
sister-
her for that.
Yeah, her sisters are like, that's annoying, stop. She's like, fine. That doesn't rhyme again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then and then they have like the digger, and they dig around and like go back to the giant tower at the top of Isle of Hags. They kill a bunch of people along the way. So many people die.
Yeah,
It's
like
crazy.
R.I.P. the great Jinjos.
Great Jinjos are dead.
Yeah.
Bottles is dead.
No.
Jingling, dead.
Well, he wasn't dead at first. They zapped his ass
Oh yeah, they did. They zapped his ass.
because the second half of this like story is basically now that Grunty's they need to like restore her body back to being a like
Oh,
living
yeah.
body.
Mhm.
So they're like, we need to steal the life force from X number of living creatures and give it to Grunty. So they start, and there's like a cutscene at the beginning of the game when you start chasing them,
Mhm.
where you meet this guy King Jingling, who's just like the absolute homie. And a laser beam comes from the sky, zaps him, turns him into a zombie, and steals some of his life force. And we're like, all right, this is whack. We're supposed to have a soccer tournament, and we can't do it with a zombie Jinjo King. So you're saving the soccer tournament is really the
True.
main quest of Banjo Tooie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Now did
Oh, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, did I forget? Oh, did you both
That's all right. I don't remember what I was gonna say either.
did you both basically get this on Christmas too, or was this kind of like not Christmas
This
Tooie?
was a Christmas thing. You know, like 2 years later, Christmas 2000.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I was all about it. There's a picture of me somewhere that my mom sent me like a couple of years ago, where like it doesn't show the game that I'm playing, but I'm sitting on my aunt's bed playing it with an N64 controller, and it's Christmas of 2000. Like the only game that I would be playing is Banjo Tooie.
Back when you had to like turn your panel
Oh
to
my
play a game.
gosh.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. At least the N64 wasn't like the freaking Nintendo Entertainment System where you had to like pop it out and then blow in it, which is actually worse for the
Oh,
cartridge
you had
than
Yeah, if you're not blowing in it, it's
Yep.
not gonna work.
put it back in.
to.
Ugh.
If you don't
Pain.
get 10 pounds of saliva into the cartridge, it's not gonna run for you.
Saliva is conductive.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
You.
Yep. Exactly. Now do you guys played a lot? I mean, play a lot of Tui. I mean, I've heard it's probably a lot of people think it's the best in the series just because it added so many things. And then was it they said that oh my goodness, there was one thing that they were supposed to put in the game that they didn't put in the game, and then supposedly
Stop and
was
swap.
yep. Yep, apparently that was supposed
Yeah,
to be the big thing.
Yeah, stop and swap stuff. Just not consistent enough, I think, was the biggest issue, right?
Stop and swap was just like the mysticism around stop and swap was very cool
Hmm.
back then. And then like, you know, come to find out like it's just like a cut feature, and this
Yeah.
and it was like, don't do that. 'Cause the way that it worked, right, was you'd play Banjo Kazooie and you'd collect the eggs and the ice key in Banjo Kazooie, right? And then there will be a point where you take the cartridge out of the game, out of the console, and put in Banjo Tooie within like I think like it was I want to say it's like 9 to 10 seconds.
Wow.
The first run of the N64 consoles would hold the game data in its RAM.
It's so wild that it even had that capability.
So you would take one game out, the game save data would still be in the RAM. You put the second game in, and it would transfer that save data to the new game. The problem happened when they started releasing newer N64 consoles, where that time limit of the RAM staying in the console was shortened to like 3 seconds.
Oh,
And Nintendo was like, you're gonna break, like people are gonna break their consoles.
people are slamming consoles.
Oh wow, that'd be like have to hurry up.
Yeah,
So
no,
originally you would have unlocked a bunch of cool stuff in 2E from getting that stuff in Kazooie, and
Huh.
they just gave you that stuff for free in 2E. I mean, you still had to collect some stuff in 2E to get them, but yeah, they just kind of give it to you.
Now did you guys have a favorite world in Tui that was like, oh my goodness, I love going back to this, or favorite music? I mean, I guess you could Banjo Kazooie probably had some great music too, but is there anything sticks out in you guys in Tui that was like, this is mind blowing? I'm blown away by this level or blown away by this music.
Mine's a little controversial. Brenty's Industries is my favorite level in that game.
Hater on that one.
I know a lot of people are, because it's like overly complicated. It's like a vertical maze inside this like industrial building, and like getting into it is a little complicated at first. You know, it's a very late game level, so it's difficult. But I love that atmosphere. I love the boss battle in that level.
Weldar's sick.
Yeah, right.
Well
So
done.
like, it's got a lot of going for it. I like the music in there too. Hailfire Peaks. I know I said it was overrated earlier. It's like one of my favorite levels still. I like the music in that level. I do like the atmosphere. I think there's some problems with it, but I like the atmosphere of that level. But yeah, those two worlds are like back and forth in my head all the time. Like which one I like the best.
That makes sense.
I think my favorite world is where, in my opinion, the game tried, and that's Witchy World.
Yep.
It's just a very diverse, very kind of uh, 3 or 4 worlds in one kind of experience. Um, and I think it does a better job of having like multiple locations and handling them in a single world package better than Hailfire Peaks, in my opinion. But it really, like, the music is very fun. Like the fact that everything's based around circus is pretty cool. The boss of that level, Mr. Patches, is absolute wild ride. It's unlike any experience you've had in Banjo up to that point outside of like Grunty in the first game. So it's like aerial battle that you're doing is like, oh crap, like what's going on here? I remember as a kid, like it gave me so much trouble, but it was just such a cool level. And that was when you first got like the split up pads, so you're like, whoa, this you can do this now. So it was very, very cool. But who doesn't love talking to Big Al and sneezing on his burgers, handing them out like an absolute freak?
Good. I'll feed it to a caveman.
Not the oogle boogles.
Not the Oogle. Now I'm gonna ask a question because I'm like thinking like when I played Banjo, I was like, oh, it's cool. They can, they're together the whole time. Blah blah. Did they explain why they're able to separate in Banjo Tooie, or is it just kind of like here you get to separate now?
Well, I mean, they are two separate creatures,
Right.
And I actually thought before Banjo 2 even came around, I actually thought it was weird that they always stayed together and wished there was a way to have them split up. And then I got that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for wishing that into existence.
I almost think the better question is, why did Kazooie just stay in the backpack all the time? And I like to think she's lazier than she admits.
100% the answer. It may not be canon, but it is my head canon.
Everybody's like, Banjo's so lazy, but like he's walking a lot. I guess so is Kazooie, really, but
always be
Talentron.
Talentron.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, Talentron, that's the way I got around the levels after a while. I'm like, all right, I'm just running around with Kazooie.
Oh yeah,
I try to avoid talent trotting all the time. Like if I'm just playing casually and trying not going, I'm not like the destination is not my goal here. It's the journey.
Sure.
Yeah.
And because like I don't want to listen to like for like 100,
That and when you're when you're trying to do it fast, you're doing so much jumping. So I hear over and over and over.
Now, the reason I talent trotted, and this was changed on the 360 version. So when I first got Banjo Kazooie, I played the first level and then I died somewhere in the level. I think I died to the big old ape that was throwing the oranges and stuff like that. And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. It'd probably save my progress like it does, whatever. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, I come back and I have like no notes. The Jinjos are not collected. I'm like, what's going on? And so I was just like, all right, talent trotter all the way back to what I was doing. Screw it.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's definitely the fast way to handle things. For sure.
No, speed back up and
There's,
get me done.
Some like inconsistent, like I don't inconsistent information about the development of Banjo Kazooie about the like surrounding the notes not keeping. Because like I feel like that was intentional, but a lot of people say that it was like they couldn't figure out how to make that work for some reason. I feel like that's horseshit, to be honest with you.
That does feel like bull. Because Jiggies are permanent objects. So notes being permanent objects just makes sense that they would exist. If anything, it's probably like one of those like just like hilarious, stupid things where it's like, oops, we programmed and we were just like, fuck it, we ball. I don't want to
just leave it.
They're just like, fuck it. Like that, I believe that for like 90s freaking rare.
Yeah.
More than I it was just an oopsie that they didn't care about.
Yeah, that's actually honestly that's probably the most likely scenario.
Or they were just too lazy to fix the program. They're like, we can do it. We're just like, it's gonna take 20 minutes, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I feel like Microsoft Rare is the same thing now. They just throw it out there and see what happens. Looking at you, Perfect Dark Zero.
Well, it's a
Oh yeah.
totally different company now. too.
Yeah.
Like I feel like most of the people from Rare don't even
Yeah.
weren't part of the original Rare team. They're all over in like Platonic now. A lot of them.
Mhm.
That's true.
Sad. Speaking of
Yeah.
360 games that came out and weren't too great from Rare at first was Nuts and Bolts, which
Yeah.
apparently, I mean, I
Yeah.
think it would have done better if it didn't have the name Banjo Kazooie attached to it.
A lot of people say that.
I
A lot of people
think
say
there's
that.
validity to that.
I think there is too, but they really would have had to push extra hard to get
Hmm.
this new concept off the ground if it didn't have an already attached name to it. But I think at the same time, they didn't really factor in that this established franchise had fans. Like I
Mhm.
think that they were really trying to get new people on board
Mhm.
for Banjo, and they assumed that they could just like do whatever they wanted with it. And that really wasn't the case.
Hmm.
I always like from the first trailer, which was a little misleading, to the second trailer where it showed all the cars.
Mhm.
I was always on board. I was on board from feeling betrayed, and I was like, this is not what I wanted, but I'll take it.
Mhm.
You know, my first thought was like, oh, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Ratchet and Clank, which it wasn't like that, but that's what that was the first
Right.
impression that I got. And I loved Ratchet and Clank, so I was like, all right, let's do it. Let's see what happens. So I was always on board, but the when it came out and everybody was like, this is not my Banjo. I mean, you're right, but and then they proceeded not to sell very well, right? So
I think the thing that like I felt burned the most on was, and you said it, it was like that initial reveal trailer, which was like this beacon of light. You're like, oh my god, like this is Banjo in HD. Like that's Spiral Mountain. Everything looks so sick.
Mhm.
Like even like Banjo and Kazooie's design in that trailer were different than what it ended up being in the final product, where like their design went from like what their design was closer to in the N64 titles to like almost like a more like shaped like squarish kind of situation, and like just everything felt so different, and it really felt like, man, it was the first time that I feel a video game company to me like just like got my ass good. I was just like, damn, they juiced my ass for $60 right now. I am
Now-
like 17 years old, still working like my first job, and I used my money to get roadies.
I mean, okay, that's fair. That's fair. And I think a lot of people felt that exact same way, right?
Mhm.
Right.
But I think that the real like what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. I had a really good point that I was about to make. I was waiting for you to finish talking, and I lost it.
That's a worse.
Oh no! Oh no!
That's
It was listen.
Grunty's Revenge is the truth.
Yo, okay, listen. I have nothing to say about that too.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, Nuts and Bolts.
So great. Okay,
Oh, good.
hold on. Let me just throw this out there real quick for Bill. Fake Banjo fan, Bill.
I'm getting that analog pocket off the way. I can see Grunty's Revenge.
So the beginning of Grunty's Revenge, it's like 2 months have passed since Gruntilda the Witch. So it takes place after Banjo Kazooie.
Okay.
It doesn't
it's
take
like-
place after Tooie.
Oh, it's like a 1.5.
Yes. But
that makes it
also-
so weird.
yeah, like there's a lot of weirdness with it, and it doesn't like quite tie in a way that you would think like a mid well
Mhm.
Because Grunty's still under a rock.
yeah. Different. It's like I personally think that it is an alternate
universe.
Banjo Tooie.
Well-
Okay.
Not even an alternate universe, just like this is just a different direction. to go
Okay.
for the sequel. Anyway, Nuts and Bolts. Great. Also.
The Banjo Kazooie multiverse.
Which is the real sequel. It follows it up
Okay.
story wise.
Yeah, I would.
I know there's a Robo Grunty.
Well, Grunty comes out and she's just ahead. How she's left at the end of
Yep.
Tooie. right? He pops out of the rubble and is like, "I'm here now. Let's fight." And Banjo's like fat,
Yeah.
and Grunty's ahead, and it's just like sad.
Mhm.
And then the Lord of Games shows up to change their future. Who's the real villain of this story? Is it Grunty?
Mm.
Is it the Lord of Games wants to like play with them like little toys?
Yeah.
I think that the Lord of Games is an analog for Microsoft, which is why he says some like controversial things that people don't agree with. He's like, gamers these days, they don't want to play platformers. They want to play shooters with cars and stuff. And you know, a lot of people saw that and was like, oh man, the writers just kind of shit on the thing that we like.
Mhm.
But no, the writers are making a point that
They were writing
Microsoft
a
is
villain.
evil.
Right.
Yep.
That's good villain writing.
Yep. Yeah.
I remember the point I was going to make earlier, by the way.
Good.
Okay. The point I was going to make earlier is that you have to remember that at the time, 3D platformers were not in the meta.
Mhm.
That wasn't a concept that exists at that time. It was all first-person shooters that are like brown and gray.
Yeah.
So this was a far departure from that, as well as the other thing that also huge at the time. And it was this whole new concept that they were just throwing against the wall to see if it works. And it didn't really work for a lot of people. That's why I think it was ahead of its time, because it does a lot of things that games do today, like a lot of user-generated content and all that stuff, and multiplayer for these user-generated games.
And like you think about it, like it came out right around the same time that like Minecraft, and you know, Minecraft when it first came out was, you know, a very basic situation. You could still do a ton, but it was much more limited than it is now. Like it's cosmically larger now.
Oh yeah.
Than it was then. And you know, really, I think like even like the reception of Minecraft when it came out, you know, especially, you know, people my age, you know, the game came out in like what, like 08, 09, 2010, right in that window, give or take. You know, a lot of people my age were like pushing 20. It's like we're not baby gamers anymore. We're an adult. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to play Lego. I'm trying to play brown and gray shooter. JPEG. So, like, I remember seeing like a little bit of like vitriol toward, you know, Minecraft and such from people not dissimilar to myself, probably myself included, where like I probably dogged on Minecraft when it first came out.
I definitely did,
because I'm like, this is the baby stuff. I don't like it. This is dumb. And then Banjo came out, and I'm like, this is baby stuff. It's stupid. It's dumb. It's not my Banjo. But like you said, it's like I guarantee you, visiting the game now, you know, with, you know, an extra 15 years of video games under my belt, I bet it's a totally different and probably rewarding experience.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I think there is some merit to the fact that like the game has some jank. Let's be honest. There is some jank of Rareware at the time. A lot of their games had some jank. So, you know, but I think it was unfairly, you know, reviewed. I don't think that people gave it a chance, really. So
yeah, I
think people reviewed it based on what it wasn't, as opposed to what it was.
Yeah, it wasn't Banjo Kazooie that they grew up with. It wasn't Banjo Tooie. It was, you know, Banjo with a warhog.
I'd rather just play Halo.
Oh man, yeah,
at least Halo was like not gray and brown. It was green.
Yeah,
it did have a little green.
There was some green in there. Like Master Chief was green.
Yeah. Yeah, they yeah, it was nuts and bolts. I think when I first played nuts and bolts, because I played Kazooie, and I got the rare replay, and then played nuts and bolts first to see if it was as bad as everybody said, just because I was like, I'm gonna test it out. And then when Pong Face showed up, the game guy, whatever. Yeah, thank you. I was sitting there. I just call him Pong Face because his eye looks like the two Pong things, and then I was like, I just started busting up laughing, like, this is so weird. And then, Gruntilli's little heads bouncing around. Like, just imagine, like, all of a sudden Nixon from Futurama popping up and putting her on the head.
It's kind of the vibe.
Yeah.
They're in a jar.
Yeah. It's like, put on the top of robot. But yeah, I Nuts and Bolts was way different. And I think they were trying to do something new, just be like, this is what future video games is going to be. But we didn't see that at that point. And it was just
Right.
crazy. Yeah. Now, the 2G.
15 years we get Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Rare even tweeted out. They were like, oh, so you guys like filth and oh, okay.
Like each of these assholes.
Oh man. Wait for.
So we were actually the bad guys the whole time.
Yep.
Take me out of this. Take me out of this. I'm literally like an avid member of the Banjo Kazooie Nuts and Bolts forum.
Mhm.
I participated in a contest on the Nuts and Bolts forum where if you built a vehicle that was like really impressive or whatever, they would put your vehicle in the game as part of a stop and swap. So you can do that on Rare Replay. You can get my vehicle
Oh
as
shit.
a stop and swap reward. They don't put like my name in there, unfortunately. So like I don't have any proof outside of my word. But it's
Car number ZX4135.
it's a rotating turret.
Rotating
Anyway,
turret.
That sounds
like,
cool.
listen, it was impressive at the time because like that wasn't like
Yeah.
whatever.
I mean, Halo doesn't have
Like,
a.
I've got some finger in stop and swap, and that's cool.
I mean, Halo doesn't have a full rotating turret. They just stop, 180.
That's true. This
Yeah,
Nuts and Bolts is better.
Oh shoot. Oh man. No, the GBA games of Banjo. I mean, obviously there's Pilot, which didn't play that, but apparently that was Diddy Kong Racing with planes. Except for I heard not as good. But then they had Grunty's Revenge, which you were talking about a little bit about Grunty's Revenge. And so do you think now with all the games that have come out, Tui, Zooey, Nuts and Bolts, and then the other games, do you think they'll ever make another Banjo game? Or you think it's kind of done? I mean, I know he's in Smash, which was a surprise because that was a really cool entrance they had for him.
Yeah.
I feel like if they did announce a Banjo game, the world would be overall receptive to it. But I don't know that it's necessary. Especially given that like the team, like, because if they were going to do it, it would be released by Rare, who doesn't have the same people behind it from the beginning.
Yeah, I think that where we're at right now with it is that whoever develops it, it won't be the team at Rare. Rare will just have to like okay it. Because it's not, to me it sounds like they don't want to make a Banjo game. Those people over at Rare, they want to make new games and they want to work on CFB, which is doing, monetarily very well for them. It's the first time in many, 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 many years. And they've had a number of years now of success because of CFBs. So good for them. So they don't want to go back and release something that maybe is a little risky. So I understand that, right? But also they are selling tons and tons,
a lot of
tons
new
of merch. So much Banjo merch, and they're doing like the Mother series thing of like just like make money by selling merch and never make another series. So that's exactly what they are doing with Banjo right now, and that's fine. But it also shows that people are interested in Banjo still. Especially now that he's in Smash, especially now that it's coming to the NS, that has been on the NSO, and like there's all these re-releases and Rare Replay being released again and again and again on different platforms, and being available through Xbox Cloud gaming and stuff like that. There's so many ways to play these games now, and all this merch. It's just like it's kind of a no-brainer that they would make a new game or even a remaster of those games at some point. And it does sound like there are some heavy, very reliable rumors that it was greenlit last year, which means we probably won't hear anything about it, if ever, for the next like 3 to 5 years.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens, but I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would be cool. It
Mhm.
would be cool. We did get ukulele,
Yeah.
which a spiritual successor to banjo,
Mhm.
which in my opinion, it was fine.
Mhm.
It was end of the day, it was fine. It was a little lackluster, but you know, for what it is, it's okay. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready for it. I just don't know.
There is the worry, right?
Yeah.
There is
Right.
there's the worry that it'll just be like really bad and,
Yeah.
and like the final nail in the coffin, right?
Yeah.
Like fool me once. But it's okay. They'll come out with a bad banjo game.
It'll be
Fix it,
like
folks.
it'll be like an RTS
Mhm.
banjo.
And then in 2035, we'll be reminiscing, being like, "Hey, this was a banger."
Yeah. 15-year later,
It's ahead of its time.
the Banjo RPG coming out in 2030.
I think the smart thing to do is what all these other games do, like
Mhm.
Spyro or Crash, release a remaster, a
Mhm.
really good,
Like an HD
true to
top-down
form
remake.
remaster. Absolutely, just make it the original game but pretty. Release it again, see how well it sells, and then decide if you want to make another one. And that works for Spyro and Crash.
Yeah.
Almost.
I mean,
Spyro doesn't get a new one, but Crash
I
did.
mean,
Yeah.
I mean, not for nothing, but it's like, how much upgrading can you really do? With like, because like even just the jump from like the Nintendo 64 version of Banjo to
Mhm.
like the play version of Banjo, like it's such a huge
Yeah.
upgrade as it is. Like it like by far is like the definitive way to play Banjo. Because but like even like the textures are upscaled and like everything, like the resolution's better. You have like the widescreen visual now. I mean, how much would an HD remake really change Banjo Kazooie and Tooie for that matter? Where
True.
it wouldn't just make more sense to make a new game as opposed to fully remaking that one.
I think that there's value in reminding people
Mhm.
of these games because it has been a while since even the Xbox 360 versions came out, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
And like, yeah, you can still play them today, and they are good. There are some things that I personally am not too happy with, just like a lot of the tie-ins with like old Xbox stuff, like of like unlocking gamer picks in
Mhm.
the
Sure.
game as you're playing and stuff like that. Just little like weird little quirks. And I just feel like a true to form, very nostalgic, like and I'm talking like what they did with Spyro.
Mhm.
Make it gorgeous.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Not just upscale it, whatever. Make it beautiful. Take like the model that they made for Smash Brothers and put that in there. Make
Mhm.
everything look cool. That's what I'm hoping for. And I think that would be where the value is.
Sure. That
And
makes
just
sense.
remind people that they exist.
Yeah. Yeah, I would. The one thing I would definitely change if they did remaster the first three is I would change Nuts and Bolts Banjo and Kazooie to like the Smash Brothers Banjo and Kazooie. I wouldn't keep them the same blocky look that they had in
It-
Banjo Kazooie. Nuts and Bolts, I would like make them look
I
like
mean,
they do.
You know what the reason behind that is?
Um, Actually,
So
don't.
when Nuts and Bolts was in development, they actually started by making a higher res model of like Roundy Banjo from the
Mhm.
originals, and then they were like, but it like takes away a lot of Banjo's charm because he's blocky on the N64. So
Mhm.
they
Sure.
tried to make a high res Banjo that was blocky to emulate
Interesting.
his blocky look from the N64 games, and it didn't really work.
Right. Right. It didn't translate well.
It
No.
work.
I
I don't mind. I really don't mind the model
I-
from.
I
still
think the Smash model is
Mhm.
gorgeous.
Perfect.
Smash model is
It's the perfect. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
perfect Banjo. So if they were to make a new Banjo game, they just take that model
Yeah.
and run.
Speaking of Smash, were you guys surprised when they actually put Banjo and Kazooie in Smash, or did you think it was a far out, like no chance it's going to
I
happen?
don't think ever gonna happen.
Yeah, didn't expect that. I thought he was gonna be like another Geno situation where it's like forever hopeful. But
I did gain a glimmer of hope when they put King K. Rool in the game.
Hmm.
that's fair.
When I
That's
saw King
fair.
K. Rool, who has not been seen since 1960,
Yeah.
Right.
which was also made by Rare,
Mhm.
I was like, maybe there's a chance A slim chance.
Especially since like at the time, and I think still to date, it's like Rare has the rights to Kremlin.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
believe.
I believe you're right about that. That's why they haven't showed up in the newer
And it-
games.
Right. Because I think even like with Donkey Kong Land that they're doing with the Super Nintendo World, they're using like the tikis.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So like even now, like K. Rool is not part of Nintendo's Donkey Kong canon,
So
or
weird.
at least their ownership profile. So it's like you're right. Seeing K. Rool is like, oh shoot, that's a wild pull.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, at least Microsoft and Nintendo have like a good relationship at the moment, and I hope that
Right.
continues because it's just like there's a lot of like Microsoft games coming over,
Right.
and
There've been a lot of rumors of like them trying to get Game Pass potentially on Switch.
I would love a future where Xbox just kind of does the Sega thing of like put the games on the Switch,
Mhm.
Nintendo consoles,
I think it would be
because
awesome.
they like think about it like this: like how valuable is the actual box Xbox, the console version of an Xbox? How valuable is that today? Because
Right.
a lot of these games come out on PC,
Right.
They're available on Game Pass on PC day one.
Yep.
If Game Pass was on the Switch, a portable console that can, the Switch 2 or whatever that can run all these games,
That would eat into their sales 50+% probably.
and they wouldn't have to make a new console.
Mhm.
They wouldn't have to try to make their own hybrid console. They could just partner up with Nintendo and like everybody makes money.
Yeah.
Nintendo would just need to make a console strong enough to hold a lot of these games, because
Mhm.
that's the
Yeah.
biggest barrier right there now.
Yep.
Is that the Series X is built like a computer,
Yeah.
where the Switch just can't handle a lot of that stuff,
Mm.
unfortunately. Because like even like I play a lot of cross-platform games on the Switch, like Rocket League,
Mhm.
and playing Rocket League on the Switch and then going and play it on the PS5, like going from a PS2 game to
Mhm.
now, it's like it's so crazy how different it looks.
Yeah. That's the
Which
one.
is 7 years old.
Oh, I know.
I know.
It's lasted a lot longer than a lot of games, like
I mean,
Knockout
let's
City.
be real. We're getting Switch 2 by this time next year, probably, or whatever, like the successor console.
Yeah, it'll be the Nintendo Switch 760, 2410, something.
I'm hoping for the Super Nintendo Switch.
That'd be. I like that
Super
name.
Nintendo Switch is good. Nintendo Switch is good. I've heard Switch Flip, like if they have like a 2-screen situation,
Okay.
Oh,
who knows what they're gonna do
the
with it.
hinge problem would be, or the hinge would be the scary thing on that, though. I feel like.
What if they did like the old phones with the keyboard and you
Oh
slide it up and
yeah.
there's the keyboard underneath, but instead you slide it
Ooh.
up and there's a screen underneath.
Ooh, that'd
So
be
you
cool.
get you slide the screen and you have two.
That'd be
That
cool.
could be sick.
Yeah.
Man, I'm hoping, just to like make my mom happy, just call it the Nintendo. Or just
Uh,
like, oh, it's the Nintendo.
yeah. Yep. That was
I
what
think
it.
Super Switch.
Yeah. Super
That-
Switch.
I hope so.
As long as it's not called the Switch U or something like that, that'll be I think we'll be fine.
Switch you.
They could not. I will say they could not call it the Super Nintendo Switch. They would have to call it the Super
The-
Switch
The
because
Nintendo
Super
Switch.
Nintendo Switch is confused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super Nintendo exists already,
Yeah.
and you can play them on the Switch. It's confusing.
Yep.
And they've been there, done that with confusing names for consoles.
Yep. Yeah, the Wii U is basically the Switch just without the Joy-Cons.
Yeah. Kinda.
It's just, I mean,
It's crazy how little tech jump there is. It's
Mhm.
wild.
Yep.
Just like like the power that it.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching, playing on the N64 and then getting, the GameCube and being shocked, how good like Luigi looks in Luigi's Mansion compared to how Mario looked in Super Mario 64. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
This is insane.
Crazy.
Yeah, right.
Just nuts. But yeah, to kind of end this podcast out, do you have any stories about like Banjo or like what the games mean to you as a whole, as a gamer, like what they made you into now as a gamer that you weren't doing before Banjo and Kazooie came out? I
Yeah,
guess.
I mean, um, coming to like being able to have an escape from like the world and like anxiety of things happening in life. That was what I used Banjo a lot for when I was a kid.
Mm.
I would get physically ill going to school every day, and like I wanted to have it was nice to have a world to go and escape to, that was colorful and fun and lively and had good music, and I just really enjoyed being in that world, right?
Mm.
So there was a lot of times like that. Like there was one time I remember when I was like probably 5 or 6 years old, and I was just like having a hard time sleeping. I literally could not sleep. I was so tired, but I could not sleep, and I was like crying, and I was keeping my parents up because I just couldn't sleep. And they're like, you know what? We need to sleep. We have work. Go sit on the couch and play Banjo, and you'll just fall asleep. You'll get tired.
Mhm.
And I ended up playing Banjo like all night, just sitting on the couch, and it like cured my anxiety for that
Mhm.
moment of time. And that's kind of been my go-to every few, every time something big happens in life. It's just like, it's not going my way. I'm gonna load up Banjo and play the first couple worlds, and just like that always brings me back to that moment of like this is like a healing thing for me. So
That's
that's
pretty
my
cool.
thing with Banjo.
It's like the mashed potatoes of gaming, like you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah, like it's good for the soul. There's nothing wrong with Banjo. And it's one of those games that, listen, it's a short enough game where you could just go revisit it once or twice a year
Mhm.
and just bang it out in 1 or 2 sessions and just have a nice little time with it. Uh, like it's so funny because I have a sister and we grew up together, and I grew up playing like tons of video games. Sister was never a huge gamer, but she was
Mhm.
always around while I was playing games. And she actually was like on the phone with me the other day, and she was like, Bill, like I a lot of times, like I'll think back to like when you would be like playing video games and I would just be hanging out in the room or something.
Mhm.
And I loved playing, games with you, even though like I wasn't playing, but it was like a passive
Mhm.
situation. And because Banjo's like, she was like, you know, thinking about getting the Switch online so I can play Banjo, because I remembered how much fun that we had playing that. And like the game that we played together that like she loved was Paper Mario.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
And we used to have a little bit about the Lil Oinks. Like I would just buy them all the time. They were like her favorite thing. So it's like the Lil Oink farming.
Oh, that's
fun.
great.
Yeah. And she'd come up to me. She'd be like, "The Lil Oinks need your care." So, like we'll straight up just answer the phone sometimes and being like, "The Lil Oinks need your care."
That's great. That's so
But
good.
but like yeah, it's just like a good reminder of like home and like good
Mhm.
feeling. It's a happy place.
Yeah, it really is.
Man,
I love that.
yeah, it's incredible how some games can make you feel like stuff like that. You can go back to. It's like, man, I remember where I was when I played this game or that game. Just like
Yeah.
the feelings they give to you. I mean, playing like Last of Us for the first time, being blown away by some of the stuff that happened in that game, and just kind of be like, this is insane. But yeah, thank you all for being on this podcast with me. It was kind of nervous at first because I was like, all right, I watched these guys growing up. I don't know what to do. I'm freaking out. I'm like, all
You did
right.
great.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm thankful that you guys came on here. You guys want to shout out anything you're doing or got coming out in the future? Go ahead. Whoever wants to go first. You guys can choose. All right.
Yeah, I am doing I'm actually, on the subject of Banjo, I'm doing a 12-hour Banjo stream tomorrow.
Oh,
And we're
nice.
starting with a Banjo because we randomizer and doing things like Banjo tier lists, and we're doing a Banjo Pictionary.
Oh,
And then I'm gonna build some silly things in Nuts and Bolts at one point. I've got a bunch of stuff planned, and that starts tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. I don't know when the recorded version of it goes out, so you
Mm.
might have missed it. But if you do, you know,
Yeah.
there's like, it's like, yeah, it's gonna be a ton of fun. So that's what I'm doing most coming up. You can find me at JoshJepson on all the things. So
Easy.
And yeah, I do some video game streaming as well. I am about to embark on a journey through Yakuza's
Ooh.
I'm pretty excited 'cause I haven't played a Yakuza game before, and I've heard nothing but wild and ridiculous things about them. So I am pretty damn pumped to jump into that. Yeah, I can't wait. And also in the meantime, I do record a podcast called The Games of Our Lives. I host it with my boy Matt, aka Battle On, and we try to talk about a different video game every week that made us who we are as gamers today, and kind of go from there.
Nice. Yeah, that Games of Our Lives is a great podcast. If you got a chance to watch it, I've been listening from the beginning all the way up till now. So catching up, and then obviously Josh, I've watched. I don't even know how many Let's Plays now. So
At least
many,
two.
so many back in the day.
It's only been 15 years.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh God, only.
Yep.
Well, right?
Thanks.
Accurate.
I'm turning
Crazy?
to dust as we speak.
Hmm.
Like I was thinking about it the other day. It's like, you know, Let's Playing on YouTube started in freaking like 2007 or something like that, or even earlier. And
Yeah.
it's like being around since then. It's so just so cool seeing how far just the platform itself and just like the concept of YouTube and gaming and
Hmm.
just like even just online presences and gaming has evolved and changed and grown, and it's so unique, and I can't wait to see where it is 15 years from now
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember.
when we actually are geriatric.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's
I'll be young forever. I'll screw you.
yeah, they I remember the first thing I remember on YouTube was NCS when he first came out, he was doing those camera recording the screen Let's Plays they did.
Dude, God, what talk about a deep cut.
Yeah.
Dude, I made a couple of camcorder
Oh,
videos back
man.
in the day.
Camcorder Let's Plays.
I did a couple of camcorder Let's Plays on an old channel.
Yeah.
Started with that hyper cam.
Oh, dude, Hypercam. Oh man. No, I just pirated fraps. My computer could barely run it.
I still have, but and
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my God. That's
I
a
mean,
throwback.
we had it painted gold and just to keep it as like a memory here.
Oh man.
But you gotta love the dazzle, baby.
Yep.
Dude, that is crazy. That
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah, it's gonna be my next sticking my toe in. I gotta get my Elgato HD60 in Michigan. I'm gonna get and start kind of recording some Let's Plays. I guess it's a little late in the
Oh, sick.
start, but like screw it, I'm gonna do something.
Fun, just do it,
Yeah.
man.
But
Do whatever makes you happy.
yeah, definitely. Well, thank you guys for being on here. You guys been big proponent of what I've started to want to do with my life. So thank you guys for all that. I know we're 50. I would say growing up, but we're kind of all the same age, so it
Which
would
makes sense.
be weird.
Yeah,
All
I'm 21 years old.
yeah,
We're all the
exactly.
same age.
Yeah, 20. I'm 21, going on 30.
Not fool.
Going on 35 more.
Jeez, yeah, don't remind me.
Anyone.
And I'll be 34 next year. I'm like, or next month. I'm like, no.
Bro, I am 34. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Oh wow. Am I the youngest of us three?
You might be
apparently.
the baby.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait, Josh, how old are you?
I'll be 34 in February.
And I'll be
Okay,
35 in
I turned
October.
31 this year.
Oh wow, yeah,
So,
you're youngin. So
yeah, that's crazy.
yep.
Listen, once everybody hits 25, it's like
It's all the
dates don't
same.
matter.
Yeah.
It really is all the same at that point. Yeah.
I mean, really, it's when you hit 23 because nobody likes you when you're 23.
True. It's true.
Personally, I'm feeling 22. So
Yeah, there you
I don't know about you. All right, I'm gonna go now.
go.
thanks for having us.
Thank you for guys for
Yeah,
coming
thank
on.
you, man.
Definitely have to do this again. I'm gonna try and get you both on one more time or a couple more times, before I start my Let's Playing and gonna be setting all that up. But thank you all for
Hit me up,
coming.
man.
Thank you for watching, everybody in the chat. Looks like everybody had a good time. We didn't have any more issues, it looks like, so that's good. But
Love that.
thank you all for watching, and you all have a great rest of your night.
Yeah, you too, man.
Thank you.
Good night, y'all.
Night.
Nighty night.
Stream.